I manage a cemetery. Most people think it's a quiet job, peaceful even. They're wrong. And what happened that night in early March is the reason I triple check every mirror when I lock up. Part of my job is meeting families on the worst days of their lives, helping them choose plots, arrange services, pretending I'm not used to grief. That's how I met Antonio. He was in his early 30s, soft-spoken, very spiritual, thick Hispanic accent, the kind of man who holds eye contact when he talks about someone he loves. He was buying a plot for his father, who was in hospice. So he showed me pictures. His dad looked kind, gentle, too young to be dying. Antonio's eyes watered when he said, "He's not afraid. He says he sees signs." I didn't ask what kind of signs. By the end of that week, his father passed. The funeral was scheduled on a stormy afternoon. Heavy rain, dark clouds, wind that made the trees bend. Some people say storms during funerals are a sign of good luck. I've never believed that. The procession arrived just after 3 p.m. I stepped outside under the awning and saw Antonio sitting in the car behind the hearse. We waved at each other. His face looked exhausted, broken. I followed the procession in one of our cemetery trucks and supervised the burial with an umbrella in hand. Rain pouring, mud everywhere. Standard procedure. After the service ended, the family left. Antonio was the last to walk away from the grave. He stood there longer than anyone else, just staring down. By 5:30, it was time to close. Because of the storm, it already felt like midnight. The sky was almost black. I did my usual drive around the grounds to make sure no visitors were left behind. That's when I saw someone, a figure, walking quickly down one of the lanes between tombstones, head down, moving with purpose. They turned behind a hedge and disappeared. I honked my horn, no response. I sighed, grabbed my umbrella, and ran into the rain. When I reached the hedge and turned the corner, the lane was empty. Long row of tombstones on one side, tall hedges on the other. No one there. I searched for 20 minutes. Nothing. Eventually, I gave up and went back to the office. I checked the CCTV cameras. Rain distortion, darkness, static, no visible movement. I told myself I imagined it. Storms do that to your eyes. I sat down to finish paperwork and kept one eye on the monitors. That's when I heard it. The visitation room door. Slam. Loud, violent, echoing through the building. I jumped up. Hello? Silence. My first thought, someone got locked in. Maybe the same person I saw outside. I stepped into the lobby. Empty. I looked toward the windows that faced the cemetery grounds, and that's when I froze. Because someone was standing on the other side of the glass, looking directly at me, not moving, not blinking, just staring. Blank expression. Rain sliding down the window between us. My heart jumped into my throat. I took a step closer, squinted, and then the recognition hit me. Older Hispanic man, soft eyes, same face from the photos Antonio showed me. It was his father, the man we buried that afternoon. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. I ran outside immediately. Renee might be around the building to where he had been standing. No one, no footprints in the mud, no figure running into the fields, no one hiding in the hedges. Just rain, cold, heavy, endless rain. I went back inside shaking, packed up fast, locked the office, drove to the gate, closed it, locked it again. Then I sat in my car for a full minute before pulling away, because something felt wrong, like I wasn't alone, like something was watching me leave. When I got home, my wife asked why I was so quiet. I told her it was a long day. I've tried convincing myself it was exhaustion, overwork, stress. Maybe grief affects the mind in strange ways. Maybe I projected the image from those photos. Maybe. But here's what still bothers me. The CCTV never showed anyone entering the property after closing, and the front gate was locked before I saw him at the window, meaning if that was Antonio's father, he never left, and I'm the one who locked the cemetery that night. I was 19 when this happened. My friend Sean, total goofball, never serious about anything, came over one summer night to hang out in my basement, like he always did. He had a Coke bottle in his hand. I was eating Wendy's, and out of nowhere he says, "We should check out that creepy little cemetery across town." It was so random I actually laughed. But we had no school the next day, and I knew exactly which cemetery he meant. Calling it a cemetery almost feels generous. It was more like a forgotten patch of land with maybe 100 tombstones at most. All of them old, archaic, probably dating back to the 1800s. Every time we drove past it, it looked untouched. Oh, like no one had visited in decades. It was fenced in with this gothic black metal fence, surrounded by woods on two sides, a road on one, and an abandoned building on the other. Everything about it felt wrong. After some convincing, Sean got me on board. The sky that evening was this weird reddish gray. Thick clouds, no sunlight, like a storm that never decided to arrive. It added to the mood in a way I didn't appreciate at the time. Sean parked his Honda down the road so we wouldn't look suspicious, and we cut through the woods to enter from the side. The fence was only about 4 feet high, easy to hop. Sean led the way. It was his idea after all. We walked slowly between the tombstones, reading names from the 19th century. Some were so worn down you couldn't even make out the letters anymore. And I know it sounds cliché, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Not casually, intentionally. I kept glancing toward the woods, then toward the abandoned building. That building bothered me the most. One of the windows, covered in fog, dirt, and streaks, had a shape behind it. For a split second, I saw someone standing there. Even through the grime, I knew it was a person. And just as quickly, they either ducked down or walked away from the window. I told Sean someone was inside watching us. He stared at the building. Then, instead of suggesting we leave, he started looking for a way in. I told him no. I said we should go before we got in trouble. He didn't listen. He circled the building while I stayed near one of the tombstones, trying to convince myself I imagined the figure. Then I heard it. A loud crack, like a branch snapping. I turned toward the sound, and that's when I saw him. An older man, like maybe mid-50s. Gray hair, black raincoat, jeans, thick mustache. He just stood there for half a second. Then he opened his mouth and screamed. Not yelled, screamed. "Get out!" It was so loud it felt like it shook the air. I swear I saw birds scatter from nearby trees, and suddenly, I felt lightheaded. My vision tunneled. The world tilted, then everything went black. The next thing I remember, I was moving, being dragged through leaves and dirt. I panicked, thinking I was being kidnapped, until I turned and saw it was Sean. He looked terrified. He told me to shut up and run. Apparently, when he got inside the building, he saw something on the wooden floor. A large sigil painted in black, a symbol associated with Satan. Around it were dolls, dozens of them. Buttons for eyes. He didn't get to see much more, because he heard the man screaming outside. He ran out and found me unconscious on the ground, and the old man slowly walking toward me, not running, walking. Sean grabbed me, dragged me through the woods, and literally lifted me over the fence to get me out. That's when I started regaining consciousness, and that's when we both heard something behind us. Footsteps, close, following. We didn't look back again. We ran straight to the Honda. Sean threw it into drive before the engine even fully turned over. We didn't stop until we were miles away. I have only fainted once in my entire life. And it happened in that cemetery, next to a building with a satanic ritual painted on the floor, with dolls arranged around it, and an old man who didn't chase it. He just walked. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Sean hadn't come back out when he did. And the strangest part? Whenever I pass out, even just from standing up too fast, I still see that window in my head, and I still feel like someone is watching me through it.